Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. The general resurgence meta here in Black Ops 6 Warzone Season 2 is honestly a ton of fun. There are a lot of really good combinations right now if you're just looking to absolutely dominate on some Rebirth or some Area 99. So that said, today I wanted to break down the top 5 best resurgence meta loadouts as it stands. First up, let's talk some perks and equipment here. Smokes are still something that I'm defaulting to on a lot of my setups here, just that instantaneous concealment for rezzing, for, getting instant cover, if you will, so it throws off aim assist for rotating. They're super clutch. Stims are also, though, very advantageous as well. I kind of bounce back and forth with those. Obviously, for Resurgence, those instant throwing knives to get the pings on your radar, fantastic as well. Never a bad option there. For perks, I have been messing around a lot. As of the time that I'm recording this video, because I am recording this a bit in advance, Mountaineer for me is still busted. I want this to work so bad because I have broken my ankles so many times in this season already, but I also think if you don't really care too much about fall damage, Survivor is always a fantastic choice here for what it's worth. Sprinter is also very good as well. Again, depending on when this video is uploaded, reactive armor could be pretty advantageous, but also if you get specialist, that's a default thing you can get too. So to me, infinite tack sprint is a huge W. And then gung ho and perk 3 is kind of my default here. Reduce movement penalties when reloading or using equipment, and you can reload while tack sprinting. That's the most important part there for me. So that's typically what I'm running. Like I said, been messing around a little bit as of late, but there's a lot of options that you could run depending on your play style. Anyways, now we can just focus on weapons for the remainder of this video because the perks and equipment are the same on every single loadout. So first up here, very fun combination, the AMES, which has a way better TTK than you might realize, and I pair this with the PPSH. So close range, mid range, long range, we are covered with weapons that are phenomenal just across the board, easy to use and quick to kill. For the AMES setup here, really use whatever scope you're comfortable with. I like the Willis 3 times and the adjacent armory 2 times. I just bounce back and forth with those. Suppressor keeps me off the radar, of course. This is a very easy rifle in my opinion, so I don't really feel the need for a compensator or anything there. Reinforced barrel ups our velo to about 931 and our damage range to just under 56 meters. So those are both phenomenal there for that hit scan range, and it'll work fine on all the resurgence maps. Ranger foregrip, because again, this weapon's relatively easy. You don't need the max control here, but some horizontal control is always good. But then you also get some sprinting movement speed, so it still stays very, very aggressive as a rifle here. And then extended 2 is going to be 60. You do burn through ammo with the 750 RPM. Like, this is one of the faster fire rate rifles, and so it's noticeable for sure. The damage per mag's not as good as some other options, but it's sufficient enough. You'll still be able to knock several players there if you're accurate, which is not too difficult with this weapon, right? So don't sleep on the AMES. This is definitely a very, very good choice right now. Then the PPSH here, it's kind of awkward just because the stocks and the rear grips are combined into one category, so it's a little weird there, but I do like the quick draw stock a lot just because I ADS so much. But the combat stock is fantastic for sprint to fire and slide to fire. Ergonomic is great for general strafe speed, and then also the slide to fire and whatnot. You certainly got some options there depending on what you do a lot in the close range. For me though, ADSing is always going to be super important there. Extended 2 here is only 55. You definitely burn through ammo with this, but luckily it also kills quick, so you can reload while the enemies are knocked or spectating, right? Ranger foregrip, again, horizontal control, some sprinting movement speed. Long barrel gives you a range extension out to 20 meters, which is insanely good for this gun. Then also basic suppressor to stay off the radar there, of course. Yet again, really fun combination here. This next duo is the AK-74 and the KSV, 2 more heavy hitters. The AK really thrives on resurgence. It is a bit more bouncy than some other choices. The recoil is not as easy as really anything else on this list here. However, its TTK is way better on paper. So if you can be remotely accurate with the AK, you will fry. And the further out you are, obviously the harder it is to control. So resurgence being more confined and condensed, it's easier to stay on target because the enemies typically are going to be closer to you than on big map, right? So the AK has a real great chance to fry there, and the KSV up close and even in some of the mid-range melts as well. So for the AK setup here, I'm going for the Jason Armory 2 times. Again, I like the 3 times here as well. You could use suppressors if you care about staying off the radar. If you want max control though, feel free to flip on over to a compensator. That's never a bad idea here. Reinforced barrels, some range, some velocity. We had a 70 meter effective damage range and just under 1,000 velocity. You can't go wrong with that. Vertical foregrip for the max horizontal control, so like this in the compensator will ultimately make this weapon a lot easier to use. Extended 2 here is 50 rounds. That works fine with a 652 RPM. If you wanted to jump up to extended 3 for 10 extra bullets, feel free to do so. It'll just be a little bit slower across the board. But yeah, the AK absolutely melts right now. Then the KSV is kind of doing the same thing up close. Again, here we got the suppressor. This is pretty easy to use, so I don't feel the need for a compensator, but feel free to, rock that if you feel like you need to be a bit more accurate. Long barrel here, range out to almost 20 meters. That's great. Ranger foregrip, some control, some mobility here, also great. Extended 2 is going to be a 50 rounder. That works with this rate of fire. You know, you're not going to have any major problems there with ammo capacity. Then ergonomic rear grip I really like here for a better ADS, and slide to fire, doing a lot of slide canceling up close and using that to try and break cameras. So increasing that speed is always really advantageous. But yeah, this is another pair that just feels so good in the current meta. By the way, as we are breaking down all the weapons and setups here today, if you enjoyed the video, you find it helpful at all, be sure to drop a like. Much love to everyone who does take the time to do so. And if you are new to the channel, or perhaps you have not subscribed yet, we should change that. Every single day I got you covered with news, updates, patch notes, meta breakdowns. It's all here, so feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. Our next combo, sniper oriented. We got the Kar 98K, fantastic for aggressive sniping, which is obviously great on Resurgence. And we pair this with the MCW conversion kit from MW3. It's actually a full-on MW3 loadout here, and it melts in the sniper support territory out to like 25-30 meters. It's going to have a really competitive TTK. So for the Kar here, this is the most aggressive one-shot sniper in the game, easily. For the scope here, it's really a matter of preference. I've used the Endless AS7. The range collar is super clean as well. If there's a scope that you like the optic of, feel free to run that. Spirit Fire Suppressor is going to help out with our range and our velocity, and of course keep us off the radar. The long barrel is going to help out with range and velocity. Then high grain rounds helps out with range and velocity. We get over a 900 velo, so the hit scan range, the bullet drop is going to be good on Resurgence. Then we also get a 67 meter one-shot headshot range, also great for Resurgence, right? And then lastly there, I do use no stock. This speeds up your ADS, the general movement. We're looking at a 377 millisecond ADS speed, which is way faster than pretty much every other one-shot sniper that you could use in the game. So this works great for playing Rebirth or Area 99. And then the MCW conversion has you covered in the close range. Jack Raven kit's obviously the most important part of this entire setup. It is the conversion kit that makes this entire setup as good as it is in the close range. Cutthroat stock helps out a ton with mobility up close, so you're going to be more aggressive and agile there. That's always a great thing to stack on a close range weapon. 40 round extended mag is the max you can use, so you gotta live with it. It's just not the most convenient. A 50 or a 60 would be crazy here. Spirit Fire Suppressor extends our range and our velocity out, so we get a 547 velocity, which is sufficient. Then a 22 meter basically effective damage range, which is obviously prime for sniper supports. Then go ahead, use whatever scope you like. I like the Night Model 2023 here personally. You're gonna melt up close, then you switch to that Kar for the mid to long range fights, and everyone's going to be getting knocked because this setup is phenomenal. Following that, we got a pretty interesting setup here with two fantastic guns. The Model L, which is a bit slower firing but heavy hitting rifle, especially over the mid range. And then I paired this with the polar opposite, a close range gun that just sprays. This thing spits bullets, right? With the Kompakt having such a crazy rate of fire. But both of these have extremely competitive TTKs. The Model L has been sort of my main go-to rifle as of late. I love the feel of this thing, either with 5 attachments or 8 if you were to use Gunfighter here. Jason Armory 2 times for me, or the Willis 3 times, either works. Suppressor to stay off the radar, pretty straightforward. Long barrel extends out our damage range to 80 meters. That's insane. If you wanted to switch down to reinforced, you're still at 71 meters, which is also insane, and your velocity's up over 1,000, so that would work just fine as well if you wanted to rock that. Vertical foregrip helps out that horizontal control, so the weapon's a lot more predictable. Then extended 2 here, 50 rounds, but with a 600 RPM, that works just fine. You're not going to burn through that by any means, but you're going to stay accurate because this thing is so easy to use, and in turn, you're going to knock players very quickly. Then up close, the Kompakt, like I said, this thing just spits bullets. It is an absolute melt machine. I do go for the compensator because accuracy here is ultra important, so this helps out that vertical control. Ranger foregrip helps out with some horizontal control, but also some movement speed, which is super convenient. Then recoil springs helps out even more with both, so you're going to be very accurate, and that's super important on this setup as mentioned. Extended 3 is a 60 rounder. That's still concerning because you have over 1,000 RPM, almost 1,100, so you're gonna reload a lot, but you'll be doing it as enemies are knocked because this will melt them. And then lastly, ergonomic rear grip for a better ADS and slide to fire speed. You'll be a tad bit more aggressive with that on there. So this is a really fun combination, one that I've been rocking a ton as of late. And then lastly here, we just have a TTK machine of a loadout, right? The Goblin MK2 or Mark II for our primary. If you are good with semi-auto guns, this is the most rewarding weapon in the entire game, basically. And we pair this with the C9, which is going to melt up closer than even some in the mid-range as well, while being incredibly agile and easy to use. Like the C9 here, one of the more straightforward weapons and probably my favorite SMG at the moment. I do rock the compensator here, makes the gun easier to use, and Ranger foregrip stacks on top of that, adding in some horizontal control and of course that movement speed. Extended 2 50 rounder works okay for this setup. You're not gonna have to worry too much about ammo. Ergonomic rear grip helps out that slide to fire, and then also the ADS speed, and then balanced stock as well. General strafe, better movement speed, so you're just more agile and aggressive in all of your gunfights up close. I love the feel of this thing top to bottom, whether you're looking at movement or TTK or range. It's doing everything just fantastic. Then the Goblin, probably the highest skill gap gun in the video here today, but so rewarding. First up, rapid fire on this typically hurts your range and your velocity. Not in this case though, just hurts your control, but it's not too bad even as you're spamming at max fire rate, right? And in the mid range, the TTK of the Goblin is unmatched. So if you can make it even better by using rapid fire, you might as well, right? Thing's a ton of fun. Extended 2 50 rounder, it's a go at your own pace. If you're burning through ammo, firing as fast as you can, that's still gonna be plenty of shots, right? You're gonna knock so many players with 50 rounds. Reinforced barrel, some range, some velocity, 943 velocity, 54 meter effective damage range, working great there on all fronts. Suppressor keeps me off the radar, then again, whatever optic you are comfortable with. For me, it's the Willis 3 times. And that said, those are the best Resurgence meta loadouts here right now in Warzone. That's gonna wrap things up. If you enjoyed the video, you found it helpful, be sure to drop a like, and if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button on your way out. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.